Ann and Dan have less than 200,000 of liquid net worth. Can they retire? Ooh. Ooh. What do you think, boys? The boys over there, they're like, Dad, these videos are boring because we're already retired. Look at them. Look at those knuckleheads. All right, so this is based on a real life client. And we're not using their names, obviously, but she gave me the permission to use her info. So I get these questions a lot. We haven't saved enough. We've done this, we've done that. And I'm like, all right, well, let's, a lot of people get nervous. A lot of people get apologetic almost. They like, I guess they see me in my t-shirt, I have showered, but I haven't shaved. I have brushed my chops. And they're like, man, this guy, he's younger than us. He's going to think we're idiots and stuff. I'm not saying this is what happened with these guys, but I do know that there will be sometimes I'm talking to people, they'll feel apologetic. They don't have enough. They feel they should have more and stuff. I'm like, dude, you put 4 kids. Yeah, you've done all this. You know what I'm saying? Just give yourself a break. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. I don't have $1 million. I'm a highfalutin financial advisor. I don't have $1 million. Anyway, I wish people wouldn't be like that. Life throws you curveballs, dudes, and you got to deal with them as they come. There's nothing to be apologetic for. Now, if you're smoking dope and drinking 8 pints of Guinness and smoking a carton of Cools a day and got tattoos all up and down with the newest cell phone and you have to drive that fancy Tesla, well, that's different. But very few people on this channel are like that. So, all right, let's go into this. So here oh my goodness, 76%, no! All right, so let's go into what we're going to do here for just a second. All right, so we got Ann and Dan. Their last name's Sample. All right, so we're going to show you here. We got Ann, and she's 58, and Dan's 65. Right now, Dan is working, and he's making 127 a year. Now he wants to stop at some point. He doesn't hate his job, but it's actually interesting these people where their background because this is what I tell people all the time. It's like, man, when life gives you lemons, just make lemonade. Let's just put it this way, Dan. Engineering type, got laid off in the Great Recession and found himself basically working retail just to pay the bills. You know what I'm saying? Not too proud to work retail. I don't understand like people, what's wrong with working retail if it has to pay the bills? What's wrong with being a server at a restaurant if that's what it takes to pay the bills? There's nothing wrong with this. I don't care what your education is. I don't care what your career was. If things get south and you got to work at freaking Walmart or work at Applebee's, you can make it happen. And most of you on this channel are like, yeah, I'll make it happen, as I am. Anyway, so he, was a highfalutin engineer type of guy, got laid off, and he worked retail. And that's what happens sometimes. And then he's back to not working retail. Life throws you curveballs. Adapt and overcome, as we said in the Army. In the Marine Corps, they say, adapt. And then they stop because they can't say 3 things in one sentence. So in the Army, we say adapt and overcome. In the Marine Corps, they say adapt. Adapt. In the Air Force, you say give it to me. Don't require me. You just give it to me. You know what I'm saying? Because the Air Force say snap and everyone says, here you go, sir. Yeah. The Navy just says, I just want to party with the fellas. That's so funny. That is funny. I love Bash the Navy. Everyone in my family's Navy. My brother's the Marine Corps, part of the Navy. My sister's Navy. Uncle's Navy. Granddad's a Navy. Granddad's brother's Navy. Everybody's Navy except for this guy. So it's fun to bash the Navy. All right. Anyway, so we got old Dan's making 127, digging ditches, and his goal is he'd like to hang up the boots by the time he's 69. All right. So Dan is 65. He'd like to be 4 more years. 4 more years. Something like that. Yeah, 4 more years. 4 more years. Well, basically 3, because January 2026. He doesn't want to work in 2026. The retirement expenses about $4,400 a month. We calculate their healthcare costs. So Annette. What did I say? Ann. Yeah, Ann. I don't know Annette. Ann will pay because they won't make very much income. She'll be on Obamacare, ACA subsidies at that point. And it won't be very expensive. I'm thinking about $100 a month, whatever. Dan will be on Medicare, which will be about $550 a month. Then Ann will go on Medicare, and hers will be about $550 a month. They like to relocate. All right, so right now they want to move from their place in Texas and relocate to Missouri, where the cost of living is cheaper. That's their goal. All right, they figure they get a nice house, $250,000 in Missouri. That's what they're thinking. And this is not the only person I've dealt with who relocated to Missouri as happy as a clam. Their income, their Social Security. Let's see here. And Social Security ain't much. She's not working right now. It's not much. Be $1,204 is her PIA, and she's going to file early, and I'll share with you why. 1204 is her PIA. She'll file early. It'll be 30-something% of that right there, so $800 or so. Dan's, on the other hand, is right here. Right now, his PIA is 2686. He'll file at 70 because he's older and most likely to predecease old Ann, and so he'll get about $3,300 a month. So between Dan and Ann, they're going to make $50,000 a year in Social Security when Dan's 70, and then Ann will have filed as well. And that's it. Dan says, hey, if I need to get a part-time job, I'm willing to do so. All right. And they're going to relocate when Dan retires. So that's the goal here. They're going to relocate to Missouri when Dan retires. And right there. All right. So let's go to the net worth. They got $55,000 in cash, $133,000 in investments. That's it. So Paula, it's actually Ann. Paula's the old person I used to use in this. For the old sample is Paula Sample. Sometimes it's Susie Single. Sometimes it's Scott Single. Here's Ann and Dan. So Ann's, this is a Roth actually. No, it's a 401k. Yeah. This is Ann's, we'll just say it's IRA. This is Ann's IRA, $60,000 all in Wellington. Dan's got a Roth, $37,000 all in the total stock index. Ann's got a Roth, $36,000 all in the total stock index as well. And that's it. $133,000 in investments, $55,000 in cash. And that's it, man. They get a house that's worth $540,000. Equity heavy, and I'm not going to say cash poor, but equity heavy. But because they're in, we'll say Georgia, they're actually in Texas, but their property taxes are pretty high. Insurance isn't low, so they're paying $1,000 a month on maintenance on the home. Lots of equity though, no debt whatsoever. All right, and then they just got basic auto and homeowners insurance, nothing fancy, no life insurance or anything like that. All right, so let's go into this, shall we? So we can see their investment breakdown is pretty aggressive, 80-20 essentially. I'm giving them about a 6% rate of return. The downside volatility on any given year, that's about 34%. So in any given year, they could be where we were essentially in 2008. So that's, we're not swinging for the fences, but we're only getting 6% on the up. So definitely not a very optimistic portfolio. All right. So let's take a look. How are we going to shake out with these guys? Oh, they're looking fine. 76% on proposed, 77 on current. I'm not sure what the difference is here. Hold on just a second. I don't know where the difference is. Oh, it's going to be for taxes. Yeah, we're not doing that. So everything looks about the same except for taxes. We're not doing any Roth conversions or anything like that. It doesn't make sense. All right. So anyway, 77% probability of success, and they leave $200,000 downstream. I'm comfortable with that. 100%. That's if Dan continues to work until he's, what do we say, 69? Is that right? Let's go to cash flows. All right, so it's not like they're not spending money, man. So here their expenses, $65,000 a year. You got to pay tax $30,000 a year, so their total outflows are $95,000 a year. But he's making $127,000, so he's able to score away another $100,000 by the time they retire. On top of that, they're going to sell their house and they're going to walk away with $207,000. It looks like. Well, more than that. But after expenditures, they're going to walk away at $207,000. All right, so this will go in a brokerage account. So in 4 years' time, when they sell their house, they're going to have another $100,000 here plus another $200,000 from the sale of their home. That's $300,000 that goes into a brokerage account. And again, I'm going to have that invested pretty aggressively because the bulk of their income is going to come from Social Security. Here's Ann's first year of Social Security, but here's right here, it'll be Dan and Ann's first full year of Social Security. That's in, 6 years, adjusted for a 2.4% cost of living. So they're basically going to be making $5,000 a year in Social Security because Dan's going to get his earnings credits. So he'll take his at right there when he's 70, which will open up a little bit of a spousal benefit for Ann. All right, so between Dan's right. His first full year is right here. So he'll get about $4,000 a month. Come 70 years old. Again, adjusted for a little bit of inflation to a 2.4, and we'll get an extra about $100 a month once Dan files. So their Social Security is about $60,000 a year. All right. Their expenditures at that stage is $74,000 a year, and we get that from what? $4,400 a month living expense, inflating that at what am I using? 3. I think our overall inflation when you factor in healthcare is about 3.5. So healthcare is 5.5. Housing is 3%. Living expense is 2.5. I think off the top of my head. Basically, the overall inflation is between 3 and 3.5%. All right. So we got now. Remember. I gotta make Dan is on health right here. When he retires, he is on health. He'll be on Medicare. So basically, the cost of his health insurance, essentially, we're not showing here because it's through his employer. If that makes sense. Be it as it may. So healthcare when he is on Medicare, it'll be $500 a month, $6,300 a year. She'll be on Obamacare. Actually, hold on, I got to change something. Let me show you what I'm doing, so that way you can see too. So basically, I have Ann's healthcare kicking in right now. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to, I think it's goals, annual healthcare costs, and we should have had Dan's retirement right there. Blink. All right, so we're going to have annual healthcare costs at Dan's retirement. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And let's just say the healthcare cost isn't covered through work. We're just going to say it's $350 a month health cost before. Let's see this. Well, health cost before Medicare. We're just going to use that. We're going to say $300 a month. We'll say $3,600 a year, if that makes sense. All right, so we're going to say now our calendar year, and we're going to say until Ann is 65. All right, there we go. All right, let's just make sure. And again, we're just crunching numbers here, and I just want to kind of go back. And Dan's retirement. There we go. Dan's retirement. Let me just kind of go back here. Expenses. And we're going to say it stops at Dan's retirement. Well, that should work. Let's see. So basically, we're saying they're paying for premiums $300 a month. And then once Dan retires, Dan will go on Medicare and Ann will be on Obamacare. Let's just make sure from a cash flow perspective it worked. Let's see here. It should, but I just want to double check. And that drops their probability of success quite significantly. But let's see why that is. We want to make sure not expenses here. So I screwed that up somehow. Other medical expenses, $43,000. Okay, so we screwed that up. So we go to expenses. Well, that's monthly expense. Okay. Whew. I was like, dude. All right, there we go. So that's what you have to do just to make sure you're not screwing something up. You just go back to retirement, cash flows. Let's see what we got. Yeah, we're still sitting pretty, but I just still want to make sure this looks clean. Expenses, healthcare, $300 a month, and Dan goes on Medicare, and Ann is on Obamacare. Yep, looks good. All right, fantastic. Then Ann's on Medicare too, $15,000. Good. So their expenses, as you can see, let's just go right here when they're both on Medicare, about $80,000 a year. All right. Tax is nothing because Social Security is the bulk of their expenses. Here we go, $81,000 from is their expense, $60,000 from Social Security. They need $20,000 from their portfolio. Their portfolio consists of after-tax brokerage and Roth and a little bit of Ann's IRA. And there should be a little bit of RMDs right here. Look, their taxes are basically nothing. I mean, it works, dudes. It works. I don't know what else to tell you. They can do it for sure. It's not like they're not spending any money. And yet they got a 75% probability of success. I mean, that means so if you look right here, the confidence would say, only when Ann is at 86 years old and she's dead, 25% of the time she has no money. 25% of the time she has over $470,000 in today's dollars. 50% of the time she has over 178. 50% of the time she has less than 178. I'm very comfortable with that because we're going to show you her expenditure. Let's see when Dan dies. Actually, I can't remember. Let's go down here. Yeah, so here's old Dan dying. Her expenditure, so her income is still her Social Security, which would be Dan's. That's why Dan takes it later. Plus, she gets her RMDs, so she has $83,000 of Social Security and RMD. But her expenses are still $88,000. They did drop, $40,000, but they're still not cheap, not chump change. And then we look over here too, net worth. See, well, you still got a house paid for, 273, 281. I mean, if you're going broke, why would you not tap into some of the assets of your home? And then we just look at a tax perspective. Oh, hardly any taxes at all. I mean, you can't beat that. So then the question is, what if we have old Dan cutting out a year earlier? So that's retiring at 68. So that's 69. So I just want to go back and show you. That's with him working 2023, 2024, 2025. That's another 3 years. So what if he says, I just want to cut out an extra year earlier? All right, so let's have Dan cutting out at, we'll say 68. Obviously, it's not going to be as good, right? Well, it won't be because we know for a fact he just, so now we're dropping to 56%. We just change this real quick to current. So it won't be as good because he has one less year of income. So now we're at 56%. All right, we shouldn't do that. But what if, on the other hand, Dan has a part-time gig? Let's just say he cuts out from his main job, and we have a part-time gig making $50,000 a year, doing I don't know, engineering of some sort, computer programming, something like that. We're going to start that at Dan's retirement, and we're going to do it for 3 years. All right, and we're going to put Dan's retirement. And we're going to go goals, and we're going to make Dan's retirement 68. All right, so now he's working part-time. He's like, I don't like my crappy old job. Whatever. I'm going to go to part-time as a computer engineer, whatever. I don't know. Are there even computer engineers? I don't know. Software developer, whatever it is. At $50,000. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Now we're at 80%. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? He's only working part-time. Or a different job. I don't care if it's part-time or not. What's going on here? Hold a sec. There we go. We got making... How much do we have him making? 54. Yeah, we had him making 50,000 a year part time. Looking pretty good to me. Their retirement's doable. They only have $88,000 of liquid assets. They can still retire unequivocally. Can they retire today? Probably not. Let's just say Dan instead he said, I'm going to get my and I say part-time job. He's downsizing his employment essentially. I'm going to give him a part-time job. We're going to have him retire at the end of this year. 66, I think, right? 67. Yeah, 66 right there. All right, good. So that will be he retires in January of 2023. He takes his part-time gig, 50,000 a year, and we're going to do it for 3 years. Yeah, basically there. And he's still not going to take Social Security until he's 70. All right. So I have no clue what. It's probably not good because he's not making as much. His current plan is only 43%. All right, so that's not going to fly. But what if he worked, again, part-time, but downsizing his gig? What if he downsized the gig for another 5 years as opposed to just 3? There's a bunch of different ways we can skin this cat, man. It's just a matter of figuring it out. But you got to start the process in order to figure it out. Yeah, look at that. Now it's at 63%. That's not so bad, man. What if you had her taking Social Security? I'm just curious. What if you had him at? He definitely wants at 70 for him, for old Dan the Tree Man. What if we had her taking hers at, let's say 65? Well, and we're going to look at. Actually, hold on just a second. Go back here. 60. Retirement age 66. There we go. Boink and boink, boink and boink. Yeah, 60. I mean, it's not great, but I would not feel comfortable making it say you can hang it up, but a bunch of different ways to win. But you just got to start someplace. Start now and see, can you make this work? Yeah. Love your thoughts. Thanks.